All right. Hello, health heads. Welcome and thank you for checking into this dose of the Healthcare Uprising. I am your producer in the back, Jeremy Carr, here with your host in the front row, Heather Pierce. So, what are we doing today, Heather?
Today we have Alix Myers, who is the founder of Tenderly, which is essentially it's a doula service for neurodivergent individuals. So new moms to be, families, partners, children, kind of.
Who are non neurotypical.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, I would say it's niche, but it's not because apparently what was the stat?
One in five people are neurodivergent.
Yeah. So not so niche, but definitely a specialty service. We often talk about the rise of the doula on this show, and here is another conversation on that. So
Yeah, good way to carry this road forward, as it were. So, without further ado, here's our conversation with Alix Myers from Tenderly.
hi, and welcome to the Healthcare Uprising podcast. Today we have Alix Myers, CEO and founder of Tenderly. Alix, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we are too. So I always like to talk about how we get to meet people because it's like this beautiful network that we've created here on the Uprising. So we had Emily Gornata, who is the founder of Phoenix Health, which is mental
Mhm.
health for women in pregnancy, infertility, all the things, kind of maternal health. And I happened to see in her newsletter your business, and so I reached out and said, "Hey, you'd be fantastic. You need to come on the show." So I'm glad that you agreed, and super excited to talk about all the things Tenderly today. So, Alix, give us your background, kind of what brought you to bringing Tenderly to the world, and what are you doing? Like, what are you doing
Yeah.
to? What are you
I
doing?
like the name
What do I
Tenderly, but it
do?
tells me nothing.
I,
So, yeah, you're going to have to tell us that too.
yeah.
My background is actually in marketing and advertising. I spent a whole chunk of my career in that world. And then I had kids, and it brought out, a lack of balance in my past career. And it also allowed me to delve deep into all things perinatal. So I started training to become a doula. I'm a full spectrum doula, which means I support families from fertility, pregnancy, birth, and what I call postpartum plus. Because once I'm in your family, once I'm your part of your support system, I'm always in your on your team. So I stay with you way past, the initial postpartum. And through that work and through my own family's experience and understanding and learning about our own neurodivergence, I've started to specialize in supporting neurodivergent families. So when I talk about a neurodivergent family, that might be that the person giving birth is neurodivergent, that might be that their partner is neurodivergent, or it might be that other children in the home, so like older siblings, are neurodivergent. Often it's all of the above because neurodivergent brains really like other neurodivergent brains. So I often have families where both partners or the children and the parents, and I'm able to build support systems for those families that are affirming and accommodating of their individual and unique life experience, specifically through this perinatal phase. And through that whole process, I've also developed kind of a secondary part of my business where I advocate and teach and educate other birth workers, so doulas, midwives, lactation consultants, anybody that is a touch point or a support system for families in this perinatal space, how to be neuroaffirming, how to consider um, neurotypes in the way that you support.
Okay.
That's what
Can
I do.
can you give us a basic definition of neurodivergent
Yes.
Absolutely.
and then maybe get in a
Um,
little bit to how that is different for a doula to deal with?
Absolutely. So when we talk about neurodivergence, and like, listen, So many people don't know what that means. And I throw it around all the time because I use it constantly. But neurodivergence really baseline, it refers to the diversity in our brain profiles. So, just like our skin color is different from one another and our noses look different from one another, our brains are built different from one another. And a neurodivergent brain is a brain that moves through the world differently. Our systems, our world, it's not built for neurodivergent brains. It's really built for a neurotypical brain. And often people ask me, if you're not neurodivergent, are you normal? Like, what is the language we use? The language is neurotypical. Right now, the current stat, and I say current stat with a lot of quotation marks around it because there's not a lot of research here. And I suspect in the next, decade, we'll learn way more. But it is about 20% of the world's population is considered neurodivergent. Now, that's not
Wow.
niche. That's
a big number,
significant.
actually. Yeah.
Significant.
Isn't that interesting? And
Mhm.
it's 1 in 5. So think about your family. Think about your colleagues. Think about in a school, in a classroom. That's a lot of people whose brains work differently. And currently our systems, they're just not built for them. So they struggle a lot. They have to use and expend so much more energy than a neurotypical brain just to do regular things. And Jeremy, you asked a great question, like, what does that look like in this perinatal period? Well, when you're pregnant, your hormones are all over the place. And so your sensory system is on fire. And things that can be maybe uncomfortable or we don't even notice as a neurotypical brain will be physically painful for a neurodivergent person. The way that our bodies feel pain is a really big one. Like in labor, for instance, can be so different from a neurotypical's experience and body. And do our doctors, do our nurses, do they know what to look for? The way that we communicate is so different. A lot of neurodivergent people, when they're overwhelmed, they go inward, they go quiet. And so if you're a nurse and you're trained to look for how loud is my patient getting to know how much pain they're in, and I'm really quiet because my brain is autistic or whatever, and the way I communicate is I go inward and I get quiet, then does my nurse identify what's going on in my body? Does my doctor know how to talk to me? So there's so many different tiny little ways and also really big important ways that the perinatal, support world needs to be aware of a neurodivergent person's experience.
And let me ask a question too, just to even get a little bit more specific about neurodivergence, because that encompasses a lot of conditions or
Yes.
diagnoses or what have you.
Yep.
Can you maybe expound on that a little bit because
Yeah.
I think neurodivergence is right? It's a big word, right?
It's a big word.
And I think people kind of associate neurodivergence with specific conditions, maybe that
Yep.
we're more familiar with. So can we kind of maybe run down those a little bit?
Sure. So, neurodivergent is an identity. You don't actually need a physical paper diagnosis in
Hmm.
order to identify as neurodivergent. That being said, a lot of different diagnoses are considered neurodivergent. So, things like autism or ASD, so that's the autism spectrum disorder. There is ADHD brains. These are two that people don't really realize. Anxiety, depression, those are considered neurodivergent brains. Sensory processing disorder, OCD, any type of learning difference, any way that your brain or your body moves through the world differently, you can identify as neurodivergence. There's no barrier of entry. If you say you're neurodivergent, you are neurodivergent. Because I'm going to tell you
Hmm.
something. Neurotypical people don't identify as neurodivergent. It doesn't happen. Their brains just don't think that way. So it's a really good question. There are a lot of diagnoses that we see that are considered in that bucket. But that being said, it's an identity. And if you identify that way, that is who you are.
Okay. Yeah, and I almost hesitated to say diagnose or
Yeah.
diagnoses or condition because I know that it's 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 not just that, right? But
Yeah.
okay, but I think that helps
No, but
kind
it's
of
important, right? And
yeah.
we could have a whole conversation about the whole diagnostic process for neurodivergent people.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, you will see way more children having like physical official diagnoses because it allows them accommodations in the school systems.
Oh, right.
You
With
got
the
to you
Often,
need one to get your IEP and things
you
like that.
need one
yep.
to get an IEP, you need one to get any type of accommodations. It holds the school accountable.
Hmm.
Also, they're very expensive, $4,000 plus.
Ooh.
Okay. Even I'm in Canada and we have national Medicare, and it's still most of the time private. It's really hard to get a diagnosis, an official formal
Hmm.
diagnosis.
But that doesn't
And for
mean
that,
that you're still neurodivergent and therefore need to learn or not need. You learn
you
differently.
need
You think about
accommodations.
right.
And so oftentimes you'll see like adults, we either self-diagnose
Hmm.
because we can and we know ourselves and we're able to learn about different neurotypes. Totally valid to self-diagnose. Or you're in therapy and your therapist is like, hey, have you thought about this as an right? Like there are different ways to informally diagnose yourself. And for adults, we see that a lot more. It's really just for children that we see like a formal diagnosis.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I can. A lot of my friends have different, even formal diagnosis, right? Like
Yeah.
ADHD or AD. Well, hell,
Yeah.
quite honestly, I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD because my doctors, when I was younger, when I was little, like toddler, young, and this was in the 80s,
Yeah.
they diagnosed me with ADHD, wanted to put me on Ritalin. My mother said no way, thanks, mom. And instead went down the route of looking at every single label of food that I put in my body so there was no red dye. And
Okay.
she did,
She was
yeah.
way before her time.
Oh,
Okay.
I know, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never been on medication. I always like to say that it's manifested itself in ambition. And
Yeah.
You're
I am
not
like,
wrong.
I'm like high functioning anxiety. My friend actually just posted a picture the other day. It's like an iceberg, and it's like here's what you see up here above the water, and then here's all the things
So good.
underneath. And I'm like, I identify with 8 out of 10 of those things. I'm like,
So
oh my gosh. So am I
I mean,
neurodivergent? I must be, right?
I can't tell you or diagnose you, but
Right.
but
We're not
I'll
doctors
say
and we don't play them on
I'll
TV
do it.
either.
She
I'll
is.
say
We'll do it.
again,
I've
I'll
known her
say
long enough.
again that neurotypical people don't question if they're neurodivergent, which is really
There you go.
interesting. I think it's fascinating. Someone should do a study just about that,
Right.
right? Um,
Well,
but
because normal
listen,
feels normal, right?
Yeah.
Like they have
so
no reason to doubt themselves because they can flow through society. Like I know
it's
I'm
such a different,
neurodivergent because I don't
it's,
understand so many things about how the world works. I
Wow.
if
have a
you're
really
not,
high IQ.
if you don't have the friction, right? If you're not
Yeah.
moving through the world with friction, you're
Ah,
not really
okay.
questioning things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a good way
think
to put it.
also to address what you were saying about medication. I mean, in the 80s, Ritalin was the only option.
Hmm.
Now there's incredible medications and so many different ones. We also know that your genetics play a huge part. And so you can actually take a genetic test to help your doctor figure out what is the right medication for your body versus a like blanket take Ritalin and that's all we got. Because Ritalin is a stimulant and it doesn't necessarily work for all bodies and all
Hmm.
brains.
Yeah, it's
So
synthesized cocaine, basically, right?
it's
It's
one
chemically the same
option
thing.
for some brains and some bodies. The other
Hmm.
thing that's really important to understand is comorbidity. Ugh,
Mm.
God, every time I say that word,
That's
it's like
always
I
a hard word to
Hard word.
say.
it just gets lost in my mouth. Um, Most people with one type of neurodivergence, let's say ADHD, it comes along with anxiety, it comes along with OCD, it comes along with autism, it comes along with other things. And so you hand somebody Ritalin, but then that also, spikes a different part of their brain and their wiring, and it doesn't always work. So it's often about finding like the right method. I highly, highly recommend. It's private. It sucks that it's private and it costs a couple $100, but if you can make it work for yourself, to do the genetic test, if this is the path or what you're looking at, because it takes like this giant pool of options and it wheedles it down to the things that will actually work for you.
Wow,
Wow.
I didn't know they were at that level with that. They can actually
Yeah.
just look at your DNA and know how to medicate you.
Where do you get a genetic test? Like, where would even somebody start for that?
So I can tell you where to get it in Canada.
Okay.
I have clients that have found it in the US. It's you go to like a private testing facility that does
Okay.
any other types of genetic testing, and they'll
Mhm.
do it. It's called like mental health medication genetic testing. It's called something
Interesting.
different everywhere.
Okay.
But
Mm.
I will try and find
Typical
a,
healthare. We have five names
yeah,
Well,
for it.
you
We
have
make
to
it
do
really hard.
research and you have to advocate because your
Yeah.
GP is not going to know about it, and
Okay.
your psychiatrist may or may not be on board or understand it, but it
Okay.
really makes a difference, especially if you're trying to work with a child because they're not
Mm.
able to like figure out what's going in their body and verbalize it so easily. So if you're coming from a starting point, it's fantastic.
Okay. Okay.
23andMe's shutting down, so there'll probably be a lot of lab space available for such things.
True.
Oh boy.
Wow. Okay.
A
So
scary thing to talk. Yeah,
that's a
different
whole
conversation.
nother
That's a whole
episode,
other
Jeremy.
podcast.
Where's that information going? Who are they selling that to? That's what I want to know.
I think
Right?
people have
No
taken
kidding.
it.
So thank you for explaining neurodivergence and also
Yeah.
me having a space to acknowledge I clearly am part of the crew. Glad, happy to be here.
It's
Um,
a great crowd.
I love when people explain myself to me. Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely have the ADHD with a touch of autism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heather's got the anxiety instead of the autism.
Right.
It's probably why we're a good team.
It probably is. Yeah. We pull off the show because we're like yin and yang.
You know,
Um,
It also explains your follow through and the ability to keep going. It also explains
yeah,
like
oh yeah.
that's how we made
the
it a year with weekly
creativity and
podcasting.
the
Right. Oh my God, so funny that you say that too. Before I completely go down another rabbit hole here, because we do this. My neighbor, who's also a really good friend of me, he's joked to me a couple times. He's like, "Hey Heather, you need to start a company called Get Shit Done." He's like, "I don't know anybody who can do as much as you and actually follow through with all of it." I was like, "I have high functioning anxiety and I'm restless and I need to be busy at all times."
If I sit still, I lose my mind. I have to go, go,
It's
go,
true.
go.
It's
right.
true.
And
It's true.
productivity makes you feel safe,
It does.
right?
Oh, 100%. So anyway, I literally need to go see a therapist about this. But I'm embracing it, you know? But in terms of neurodivergence and kind of in the space that you're in, bring this
Yeah.
back here a little bit. Um, you're clearly neurodivergent in some way. You saw a
Yes.
need for a doula. You got very invested into this space, obviously, when you started having your own family. And so
Yeah.
therefore Tenderly was born, in pun intended.
Uh-huh.
I always love that. So like what does it mean? Like the rise of the doula, 100%, we love it. We talk about doulas all the time. We need doulas for everything. But
Yeah.
like, how does Tenderly show up for somebody who is neurodivergent, whether it's themselves, their family member, their kids, all of the above? How does it
Yeah,
work?
such a good question. I think why don't we start by saying what a doula does? Because I think often
Yes, good to reiterate that. We do
we
talk
don't
about doulas a lot.
know, most people don't know what a doula is
You're
unless you've
right.
used one. And
Hmm.
even if you've used one, you may not know like the spectrum of which we support. So a doula is there. So first of all, there's different types of doulas. There's death doulas and there's fertility. There's so many different types. I am a full spectrum perinatal doula. That means that I support families, whether they're family planning and going into fertility, during pregnancy, during birth and labor, and postpartum. Um, what what that means is I am there to for physical support. So like I can physically be with you. I can take you to your fertility appointments, help you prepare, ask questions. I also answer a lot of questions because I have training and so much wealth of knowledge about bodies and how this whole wild magical time period works. Um, I am physically at births and labor, which is incredible. And I do things like counter pressure and massage and physically get you the ice chips and physically help you and hold your leg when you're pushing. Like I am physically part there. In postpartum, the physical support looks like coming to your home, helping you get through the things that you need to get through, and holding your baby while you go take a shower, like helping you physically take care of yourself and your baby. Um, for the partner, I also am acutely aware of a partner's needs and make sure that they're being cared for, and at the same time help them learn how to take care of the birther or the baby. A lot of education, so a lot of answering questions, teaching, sharing. Everything is evidence backed. Everything is like research backed. So instead of going on the internet or looking on Instagram to learn about this whole period and what's going on, I highly, highly recommend that get off the internet and please send me a text. At
Yeah.
3 in the morning, I will answer your question. But it's a good way for you to really get safe information is to have a doula. And then I'm really like, this is probably the biggest part of my job as a doula is emotional support. So I am trained in mental health first aid. I am very well versed in perinatal mental health disorders. I help scan. I teach you and your partner how to look for the symptoms in each other. So emotional support is like a really big piece of this.
Okay. And
Now,
that
that's
the
what
baby blues too, right? I'm sure that's probably a big part of
huge.
like that
Yeah.
postpartum period. Okay.
Yeah. So that is what a doula does,
Okay.
baseline doula. Now, my kind of specialty is tailoring that process so that if you're neurodivergent, you're getting specific support that is built for you because every neurodivergent person is different. And so I look at the sensory experience. So, I'm going to use birth as an example, but like when we go into the birthing, wherever you are, if you're home or if you're in a hospital or if you're in a birthing suite, what feels the best to you? Do you want to bring a special blanket? Do you want to bring special tools? Is loud noises, is it painful for you? Do you like the noise? Do you need headphones? Do I turn off the machines? Do I advocate to your team? Like, how do we keep the noise low? Do we want less people in? Lights. So often there's really bright lighting. So do I bring candles? We talk about all the different sensory systems and make sure that your birthing space is safe for you in that sense. I build a lot of tools around communication because my communication preference is that I like to talk, right? I can have this conversation. A lot of times my clients, they don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to be on video. They want just all the support through text that feels safer for them. And then when we're talking about labor, it's like, do you need special cards so that instead of you having to advocate for yourself, that you just put down a card and say, like, I need water or I need ice, like different tools that accommodate your communication preferences. And then the other piece is executive functioning. And I think it's so interesting, Heather, that you brought it up and you didn't even realize you were bringing it up, but you were talking about following through and being able to organize and plan. So executive functioning, it's like the CEO of your brain, and it helps you go through those processes 100 million times a day, right? I need to brush my teeth. Okay, I need to go get the toothbrush. I need to find the toothpaste, but it's got to be the toothpaste I like, not my kid's toothpaste because that's gross. And I have to put it on my toothbrush and I have to turn on the cold water, but then I put it in for 1 second, not 2 seconds, right? So we're going through all these tiny little decisions, and our brain, that CEO in our brain, is having to manage that process. Now, when you are without sleep, when you are overwhelmed, when your body has just gone through this massive, the biggest hormonal drop that any species has in such a short period of time, your brain, your executive functioning CEO in your brain, they don't have the capacity to do all of that executive functioning. So you start to see what we call executive dysfunction. Clients not being able to show up on time. They can't commit to things. They're having a hard time. You go into a postpartum family space and it's like a disaster. And it's
Your whole world has
like
changed. Yeah.
your whole everything and your body cannot keep up
Mm.
with the executive functioning, because often neurodivergent people, we're going 100 miles an hour because we're having to work so much harder to keep up with a world that's not built for us. And now your whole body, your whole world has changed, and you're expecting to be able to keep up that extra effort and just can't. So what systems and supports can we put into place to help you with that executive functioning? So I really talk about my three lenses, and that's sensory, it's communication preferences, and it's executive functioning. And we use those three lenses throughout the entire process of support. And it's everything from like that initial client, I call it the client intake conversation. And so understanding what they need, understanding the processes, what happens when they become overwhelmed, how are you going to notice what happens? And then how are you going to make them feel safe again? And that happens like at every touch point throughout your doula support.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's very detailed. Like
Hmm.
you're in every detail of the operation. That's pretty intense.
And I
Yep.
have to say too, this is the first time I've ever heard anyone talk about executive functioning and like in this way. Like
Yeah.
and I feel anyway, I'm really grateful for you right now. I am, because that just resonates with me so much, because I am such a planner and
Yeah.
thinking, and I'm just literally realizing I'm like, oh shit, I do that all the time. And I'm like, is
Yeah.
that normal?
Yeah.
Like these
So
weird little steps in my head. And this whole time I'm thinking, I just have never really thought about it, quite honestly. I'm like,
yeah,
this is just how I am. Um, and now like
I
looking
norm
back on both my kids that I now they're 12 and almost 17, but like, oh my God, I was a maniac after I had them. No wonder everyone was like, Heather, calm down.
You said that human women, after they have a baby, go through the biggest hormonal shift of any species on the
in
planet,
the shortest amount of time.
the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
I
So
knew it was intense. I didn't know it was that intense. Like we can't even find another species that goes through it so hard.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you, it is wild what we
that
go
is
through.
wild.
Wow.
Wild. And in so many places, there's no support systems. Like,
Mm.
I'm not going to get into politics, but like we here in
We
Canada get
can if you want to.
We
12 to
do that on
18
we
months
do that on other episodes.
paid
We'll get there.
leave. 12
Yeah.
to 18
Yeah.
months paid leave. It's not
Oh,
full pay, it's not perfect.
right. They're like, go back to work in 2 weeks.
Oh, in
Yeah.
America, you're
And
not supposed to ever take work off in America.
No.
Doesn't matter
it's
what's
a
wrong.
problem, and it's
Hmm.
we can talk about mental health, but mental health, perinatal mental health disorders and crises are so closely tied to neurodivergent brains and their experience. So I think that the current, I don't know if you guys do a fact check, but if you're going to fact check me, I think that the current fact is one in four birthing individuals have some sort of perinatal mental health crises. Okay.
Yeah.
If
That
we are
sounds right.
talking about
One in
the
five people.
neurodivergent community, and I'm telling you right now, there is no research. I have looked high, I've looked everywhere for research, that there's no research. There's no research about anything, but there's certainly no research about this. But anecdotally, I have never had a neurodivergent client who has given birth and not ended up in some sort of perinatal mental health crises or issue. And that's
Mm.
with my support. Because if you are predisposed to anxiety or depression, and if you are undiagnosed and you've never been, you've never had this support, you don't even know this about yourself, like it's just so hard because of this hormonal drop. It's not necessarily because of the way your brain's built. It's because your body is just going through such a huge, massive shift, and your brain can't catch up, and you need help. So this is
Wow.
really important. And if you don't have time to recover, if you don't have time to adjust, it's really hard. It's really hard for us to support these families when they're struggling so greatly.
Mm. I have a question.
Yeah.
This short amount of time with this hormone,
Yeah.
what is that time frame? Is
It's
it
like immediate. It's basically as soon as you birth the placenta, your hormone drops so quickly. So it's
so within,
happening right
we're
away.
talking hours where
Yeah, yeah. I
that,
I I
okay.
could send you like research about it. I might not be saying this perfectly, but
No, that's okay.
it
Yeah,
is
we can.
your body shifts immediately. And
It's like
it's
getting thrown into
continuous. It's
cold
not
water,
just, but
kind
you have a
of.
massive drop.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, that explains a
It
lot.
explains a lot.
Looking
You
back.
feel it. You feel it. And
Mhm.
some people, it's interesting to see other people give birth because like I have my own experience and what that was like
Yeah.
for me. Like I did it 3 times and my body reacted in a certain way. But then you
Hmm.
see other people who some people go into like euphoria. So they have like this euphoric reaction. They're like giddy and giggling and like and then
Mm.
it's like and then it comes down even more and they're in a full depression. It's so
Right.
interesting to watch and to understand and to learn about this. And I really hope that they do more research around it. Um, there are incredible organizations that are really advocating for postpartum mental health and postpartum support.
Oh,
So I'm
can you
hoping
name
we're going to
some of
get there.
those? But that's something that we could
Yeah,
really put in the show notes too, in case
yeah,
anyone
I will
listening would
send it
like
to you,
those
Heather.
resources. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So there's
Yeah.
always check locally because there's amazing local resources, but there's
Hmm.
like Postpartum Support International. They're fantastic, and they have like organizations in all different countries, and then they'll connect you locally. They're
Hmm.
fantastic, and I'm pretty sure they have a hotline.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
One of the things too that we cover maternal health, women's health on the show so much, just because there's a lot happening in this space, thankfully. Um, but one of the things that we see often is that, or talk about often, is that new moms, right? Either you're going through it, or like there needs to be like a new mom toolkit, right? Like we're just
Yeah.
kind of like put out in the world and we have like, okay, well, we just don't know what to do, right? Like how, like, even like when you get pregnant, right? And things have changed so much since I've had kids. But
Yeah.
how would somebody even know to go find a doula? How would somebody even know how to find tenderly? And also, I think another kind of second part of that question, and this is becoming at least more commonplace, thankfully, again in United States, is like through Medicaid plans, they're starting to
Hmm.
cover doula
Yep.
services,
Yep.
um, commercial healthcare plans as well, like through your employer.
Yep.
I think they're slowly rising as well because not everyone thinks like, oh, I should go get a doula. It's just hard to know like what the resources are. So,
100%. It's so hard. So I think educate yourself about what a doula does because I think often people feel uncomfortable. It's a really intimate time period, right? Like this is something that's really cozy to your family. And so some people feel uncomfortable with another person coming in. But what's so great about a doula is that you get to decide how it works. If you don't want me in the room with you, I don't have to be in the room with you. I can help prepare you, I can support you afterwards, and I don't have to come into the labor and delivery room with you if that doesn't work for you. What I love to tell people is it's your experience. And so you tell us how you want us to support you, and we'll do that. We're flexible. Um, Listen, there is a cost to it, and it's
right.
amazing that there are incredible, like, you can find doulas that are covered by some insurance companies. So, certainly speak to your insurance company, understand if it's workplace insurance, talk to your workplace because now some of these big companies and big organizations are actually partnering with um, doula
Yep.
agencies because they see what a benefit their employees having doulas are. Like the outcomes are way better. Their ability to recover is way better. So talk to your HR departments, talk to your companies to see if they're partnering with any doula agencies. And then like I hate to recommend Facebook, but go on Facebook. Go and
There's some
find
good
yourself.
groups.
There's
Yeah.
amazing
It's the
new
only good
parent
thing about
groups.
Facebook is the groups.
Yeah, I will
It's the
say
It's
only good
that's,
thing.
amazing.
yeah.
Go and find your local, like, new mom groups or new parent groups
Hmm.
and ask for recommendations. Word of mouth is the best, and you get to choose who's the best fit. So I want you to go on that Facebook group and post, hey, I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for a doula locally. Who would you recommend? And then interview everyone and meet everyone and decide who feels good to you, who feels like a fit, who gets you. And that's the best way because it is fit. And not every doula is going to be the same. I'm very different than other doulas. And, if you're neurodivergent, ask questions. Say, how are you going to support me? I am autistic and I have a lot of sensory issues and sensory sensitivities. How are you going to support me differently? You can say, do you know Tenderly? Have you taken her webinar so that you know how to support neurodivergent families? Like, ask all the questions. It's an interview
Mhm.
and feel confident to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be a very, I mean, as that process unfolds, that must become a very intimate relationship
It
with
is.
the new mom and all that.
I
So yeah,
mean,
I
it's
would
very
think
intimate.
personality would have a
It's
lot
very
to do with that.
intimate because you're not in a state of regulation, right? You are
Mm.
feeling all the feels. Your partner's feeling all the feels. It's a massive transition. You're also naked a lot. There's a lot of
Yeah,
nudity in pregnancy and birth and postpartum. And
That's
so
true.
you need to feel safe with the people around you. You need to have a support system that feels safe, that you can be yourself, that you can tell me those things that you don't feel necessarily comfortable talking, maybe even to your partner about. Um, so yeah, I think fit is super important. Be choosy, be picky, ask all the questions. And you want to see how that doula reacts and if they come from the same kind of like life philosophy as you.
yeah.
One of the things too I'm curious about now, you're in Canada, obviously, with a very different healthcare system. I think you called it, do you call it Medicare in Canada?
I,
It's
I,
like,
okay, every province has a different thing. So in Quebec,
Uh-huh.
where I live, it is called Medicare, but
okay,
it's universal, like public health.
it's whatever it's called in the province, it's still
Yes,
universal. So through that, and I always love asking these questions, especially when we have people come on that are international.
yes.
And because the American healthcare system is very different, and not great, just to be perfectly honest. And I've worked in the industry for 24 years, so
Yeah, if
I can
anyone
say
could
that.
know.
I can say that I've been everywhere. Um, and I so like doula services, for example, is that something
Yeah.
that is provided through your system, or is it in addition to you have to get it either through your employer if they cover it, or you pay for it out of pocket? Like, how does it work there? I'm just curious.
So I'm using the word Medicare, but Medicare is not does not cover doula services.
Okay.
Now, some doulas are considered naturopaths, and
Oh.
through so you have your like your medical free medical public health card, and then if you work for a company that also provides what we call private insurance
Hmm.
on top of that, it would be for things like massages and
Like
physio
supplemental
and
type of,
psychology.
yeah,
Yeah. So those like other services. Now,
gotcha.
if some doulas are considered naturopaths, and so that they can slide in as to fill your naturopath in your private insurance. Sometimes it's normally
Mm,
not all of it, but you can see that work sometimes.
okay.
Um, but no, Medicare does not cover doulas,
Okay.
which
That was more of a curiosity question. Like
yeah,
I mentioned, here in the States, Medicaid plans are starting to offer doulas as part of benefits for somebody who is on Medicaid,
yes,
and 50% of births in the US are actually under our babies are born and mothers are covered under Medicaid plans in their states. So that's
amazing.
so to have a doula provided through our Medicaid plans is to me is kind of a pretty big deal. So always curious to know kind of what's happening in
I
other
mean,
countries.
let's hope it
Yeah.
changes and that the more we learn
Yeah.
about
The rise of the
women's
doula.
health, the rise of the
It
doula.
it's like it's for real. We have covered it so much on our show, either through companies like Delphina, which is one,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mama
I've never heard
Glow.
of 'em.
Yeah, Latham
Yeah.
Thomas with Mama
We
Glow.
started episode 10 with Latham Thomas. We've had a few
Yep.
episodes since then.
My friend Anya here, who's a doula, who came on and talked about what that's like. So, did you start as just like a regular doula and then realize quickly that, oh my gosh, I have clients, and you being neurodivergent yourself,
Yeah.
that have more specific needs? Like, how did that kind of evolve for you? And why do you think
So,
that is? Like, what do you see, like how the world is changing and like the demand for these
yeah,
kind of specialty, it's really kind of like specialty support, like niche support.
but not so niche. One in
Yeah.
five. It's not so
Or
niche.
not really, not that niche. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did start out as like regular old doula.
Hmm.
And then my children we started better understanding their neurodivergence. And through that process, understanding my own, and then I kind of reflected back onto my experience as, someone in that perinatal space for 10 years. And I was really struggling, and it was so hard. And as I learned about like the accommodations I was putting into place for my children, I was thinking, why are these accommodations not put into place during this like massive transition and this time period where we're all feel like we're losing ourselves? And it started small. It started with me just like considering the sensory experience of my clients. And then, wait a second, like when I look at postpartum, I think executive functioning mayhem. And it just kind of went from there. It was really a reflection on my own experience and then starting to see it in my clients and having more clients feeling safe enough to say to me, my partner has ADHD and like is really going to struggle to support me through this period. And like, what can we do? And the fact that I understand that, the fact that I know that this partner really wants to be there for the person giving birth, but also has to do the things that they need to do to take care of themselves. Like it created a lot of, I use this word too much, but safety. Like it really did. It felt like they could be honest with me because I signaled that I was neuroaffirming and I understood their experience. Um, and I think that I'm putting us all in the same generation. I don't know how old you guys are, but let's just pretend we're all in the same generation. Okay. There, the fact that your mom had a conversation with somebody, a doctor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist about ADHD in the 80s.
That was very
Um,
progressive of her, by the way.
like you
Yeah.
no, that with a woman, never.
Right.
To diagnose girls is so challenging, even now, given what we
Yeah.
know. So it's very rare. Most of us are discovering our neurodivergence through our children.
Mm.
We're seeing their experience. Schools are flagging things left, right, and center. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, but that was me. Like I couldn't sit still. I was like fidgeting nonstop. And oftentimes we were told like, stop moving. It's a behavioral thing.
Or you got a
Um,
nickname named Gabby. That's my problem.
it's,
I talk too much.
it, it's just we were told it was something
Yep.
different. We were told it was within our control. We were told
Hmm.
that if we weren't productive enough, we weren't keeping up, we weren't doing enough things. So our bodies went into this fight or flight all the time. And now
Yeah.
we're discovering through our children's experience, through the learning we're doing around parenting and all of those things, that wait a second, like that was me and this is still me. And you see things on Instagram and listen, you saw something with an iceberg and you identified yourself in it. And if
Hmm.
that's where you're learning and discovering, I'm okay with that. It's just, yeah. So now our generation, we have children. But let's say a couple generations younger than us, they're learning these things about themselves earlier.
Yeah.
And
They're
so
in
now
IRL, right?
It's crazy
they're
how
going,
educated kids are on mental health these days.
I know.
it's
Pretty wild.
amazing. I think
We
it's
were just told
amazing.
to suppress it and it's not happening and just deal with it and suck it up
Yeah,
and man up
they just
and
kept calling me weird, and all that did was make me weirder.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It made me
Like,
embrace
why
the
is
weird.
weird bad? Weird is awesome. You know,
Yeah.
like we let's redefine that word if we can, please. But
Yeah.
so, but now you're seeing people in their
Weird is
teens
cool.
and in their 20s, and they know what their brain, how their brain works. They know
Uh-huh.
what accommodations they need. They know all of these things about themselves. And yet, the systems aren't in place to understand that. So, like,
Mhm.
how many OBs are saying to their patients when they first meet them and they're pregnant, like, what's your neurotype?
Yeah.
Are you autistic?
That's
Do you stim? Is there anything I can do to, can I turn down the lights for you? Like, what are we doing to accommodate these really self-aware, wonderful human beings?
yeah, because it can come off like we're talking about a disability with the neurodivergence, but it comes back to what we were talking about before we started recording, and that there's a beautiful side to all this when people's brains start acting different. Because some of the greatest thinkers of all time, I brought up Einstein and
Yeah,
how Einstein was totally neurodivergent, and that's how he came up with all those visual thought experiments that led to his theories of relativity.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like there's a positive side to this. Like we need these people in the world because like so much advancement. Steve Jobs was probably neurodivergent. Bill Gates is
yeah. Bill
100%
Gates has
neurodivergent.
already come out and said he's
100%.
autistic.
Oh, has he? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's why
Makes
he
sense.
funds so much. It's why he's such a philanthropist because he understands this problem because he has it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like a lot of the great thinkers in our world are neurodivergent. So as much as it can make it hard to deal with what we call, the real world normal society because we can't see see the functionings of society the way, quote unquote normal people do.
Typical.
But if we
Yeah.
didn't have these people, there, we might not have the technologies we have and the philosophies we
Mhm.
have and all these,
Yeah.
the
No,
big
not even
thought
might
stuff.
not. We wouldn't.
Yeah, we wouldn't
We
like
just
but if Einstein
wouldn't.
wasn't so weird, if his brain wasn't wired so wildly compared to most people, he never would have explained the universe to us.
Mhm.
you know?
That's true.
Yeah, I think that there is this amazing kids podcast. It's called Brains On. And they did an episode about ADHD, like describing and explaining what ADHD is, which is so wonderful that we have resources
Yeah.
like that right now. And they talked about how a neurotypical brain is like a symphony, right? Everyone comes in at the right time and the music sounds lovely together. And then you have a neurodivergent brain and it's like jazz and it's funky and it's
Mm.
cool
Oh,
and things
mine's
are coming
definitely
in
jazz.
different
So
ways,
jazzed.
right?
Yeah.
And it's also beautiful and amazing and so
Right.
cool.
And
And
random.
I
I love
love
it.
that
Yeah.
visual picture and like sound
Oh, I
because
love that.
isn't it what a beautiful way of describing different
Thank you for
brains?
saying that. I love hearing that. That makes me feel so
Yeah.
good right now. I'm like,
Doesn't it feel good?
yes,
Because both are
yes.
beautiful. We
Right.
need neurotypical brains 100%, but we absolutely need neurodivergent brains. And they
Yeah.
make things fun and creative and interesting. And I, yeah, and it's great. And it's great.
Yeah.
So we should be accommodating them. And I mean, I think, Jeremy, like the conversation about disability is really interesting. And I think for some neurodivergent people, the idea of disability is super important to their identity, and that's great. And I think for others, they don't feel like they need to use that language, and that's cool too. I think that if you need accommodations, you should have accommodations. If
Hmm.
you need that the lights are low, let's turn the lights down low. Like, it's not negative to accommodate and make people feel safe and comfortable. It's positive. And the more we do it and the more understanding and the more we build these into our systems, the better.
I,
Agreed.
I see my crazy as a superpower personally.
I
It's what gives me
I
my
think it
power.
probably is. I think that like the way that you think, the way that you digest knowledge, the way that you process the world has probably impacted so many people. And that's so cool. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Impacts this show. So there you go.
Trying,
Right?
trying to turn a positive out of it. I really am.
Well, I
Yes.
really love that we're talking about the positive part, and and we talked about wanting to just not be like it's not a problem, right? Like this isn't or a disability, it's a capability, right? I think if
Yeah.
we can put it that way, it's a capability. We have all these really beautiful minds that exist in this world that have given us so much, right? Like, and why not show up for them as a doula, um, for a
Yeah.
mom in a family who's going through, pregnancy, and birth and postpartum and all those things, and to be supported in a way that is aligned with what their capabilities are, right? And how they
Yeah.
see and kind of, move through the world as you said. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very physically and emotionally, traumatizing, I guess, in a way. Just,
Can be.
extreme
yeah,
experience having a baby.
yeah,
So yeah, if
Yeah.
you need
I
someone who
have
understands your mind. Like you said, they really need a doula who's going to understand their mind.
and validate how different the experience can be. And
yeah.
um,
Right.
I have clients who, I have two clients in particular I'm thinking about, and one went into labor, wanted to do a pelvic birth, and ended up in a C-section. Then I have another one who had a pelvic birth, like everything went to plan. And the one who had the pelvic birth and everyone went to plan, she felt like she wasn't heard, she wasn't listened to, her needs weren't met by her medical team. And then the client who ended up having a C-section, even though that was not what they wanted, had the best experience because the medical team listened. We advocated for their needs in the C-section. So I think like the emphasis that we start putting on how important it is to be seen, to be heard, to be listened to is just, it makes such a difference in how you feel about your birth and labor and postpartum. And the more we see people, the more that we validate and accommodate, we'll be in a much better place.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful place to end on. Um,
Yeah.
so before we let you go today, though, is there anything now? Tenderly has been around for how long have you been?
I want to say 5 years. Oh my
5
gosh.
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost 5 years.
And obviously, you're a doula. You serve primarily or just exclusively neurodivergent clients at this point?
Uh, at this point, mostly, yes,
Okay.
but
You're the go-to.
certainly all types
Yeah.
of neurotypes.
Okay.
And I am located in Canada, in Montreal, so I
hmm
do take on some in-person
hmm
clients locally, but most of my work is virtual,
Okay.
which
That was going to be
most
my
people
next
don't know
question.
about.
So,
Yes.
virtual meaning doesn't matter where you are, you are accessible to support families through this very critical part of their life. I wish I had a doula. One of my biggest regrets is I didn't have one.
Yeah.
But so I like to encourage everyone to get one because it legitimately is one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't have one. Um,
So how do people find Tenderly then?
yeah.
So my website is lovetender.ly, and I highly recommend following me on Instagram because I am constantly giving information and resources and accommodation ideas. So it's lovetender.ly_doula. And maybe we can put that in the show notes because it's
We
long.
will.
Um, and if you are a birth worker, please reach out. I do like monthly webinars, they're free, and it's just to help you build a neuroaffirming practice. And the more birth workers we have that are neuroaffirming, the better we are doing for all of our clients.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask if you had anything else that you did outside of the actual doula services. So now you've answered my question there. Is there anything else that you have in the works that's coming or?
Yes. I am launching in the next month a birth planning course. So this is for families who are maybe neurodivergent. Even if you're working with another doula, this is an amazing, all-encompassing process of planning your birth, educating yourself about all your different options and your rights in a really neuroaffirming way. And you walk out of the course with like a perfect birth plan that you just hand to your doctor, hand to your midwife, whoever's supporting you, and also to your doula. So you don't have to work with me as your doula to do this course. It helps everybody. So exciting. And when it's up and running, I will absolutely send the Healthcare Uprising team the information and maybe you guys can share that along.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we do,
Sounds like another episode.
yeah. Yeah. And I do a lot on social media to help share some of the good things that are happening with folks like you who come on the show. So we'll
Love
definitely
that.
put it out there. Yeah, really, I'm on the TikTok now. So
Okay,
the Tiki
I'm too
Taki.
scared of TikTok.
We officially
I,
exist. Finally, we're on the
I
TikTok.
love it.
I was too. And then I got out there and I'm like, oh my God, why was I not here sooner? So yeah.
Okay.
My buddy Greg was like, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok. Your face is on TikTok." And I was like, "Shut up, dude. I don't want to think about it." Like Heather does that part. I just don't think about it.
I had to put a photo of the two of us up. So, but yeah, no, definitely highly recommend. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Adding you to our list of and playlist for all of the things that new moms to be, moms trying to be mom, or women trying to be moms need to know about. We've got such a great resource list of folks that have come on the uprising. You are absolutely being added to that list.
Definitely one
So,
of our best
you.
playlists on YouTube is
yes,
the pregnancy and birthing.
yeah,
It's
we got a lot.
expensive at this point.
It
Pregnant
is.
women need
Awesome.
to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, pregnant and
I'm gonna share
menopausal,
that
which
with
is
my
weird, right?
client.
Pregnant,
Like
menopausal.
totally ends of the spectrum there, but we cover all of it. So thank you so much for coming on, Alex. It's been so great talking to you and
Thank
um,
you.
giving me a space to acknowledge my neurodivergence.
Amazing.
Acknowledging my
Sure.
crazy always feels good. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for joining us on the Healthcare Uprising. Make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons before you go, and take a moment to think of a friend and hit that share button. You can find us on all the major audio platforms, and we've got video on YouTube if you want to watch us in action.
You can also find us on social media on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Just search Healthcare Uprising to find us. And if you're a new company with a cool new product, if you're someone innovating alternative methods for the health and wellness space, or if you have a personal healthcare journey you'd like to share with us here at The Uprising, please email us at healthcareuprising@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you about coming on the show. Well, that's all for this dose of Healthcare Uprising. Until the next time, keep looking for the good in the world, because sometimes it's where you least expect it.
We are not doctors and we don't play one on TV. If you need medical advice, consult with your physician or a healthcare professional. This has been a Shut Up production.